Everybody, Alex Newman here with the New American, and with us we have a very special guest. We have been writing and reporting on the story of Marty Gottesfeld for years now. He was the so-called hacker who was put into federal prison for hacking a hospital up in Boston where they were torturing and brutalizing a little girl that they had kidnapped from her parents, Justina Pelletier. Some of you guys probably remember that story. Well, Marty got involved in that, and the Obama administration didn't like it. Neither did the hospital that I guess lost a few dollars from donations when their website was down, or the prosecutors or the judges that all seem to be have this kind of incestuous relationship with Harvard University, and so they threw the book at him like nothing we've ever seen before. With us today, we have Marty's wife, Dana, with us. And she's going to give us a little bit of an update on what's going on with the case, what's happening with the appeal. Dana, thank you very much for being with us. And what did I miss on the background there, on the background story for how Marty ended up where he is?
Um, well, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you. Yeah, Justina's case was a horrible abuse of government power and medical tyranny. Justina was a 13-year-old girl who just wanted to see a doctor for a second opinion and was medically kidnapped by a hospital and stripped from her parents' custody and locked in a psych ward for over a year until Marty got involved, and then she was back with her family within a month. Um, I think Marty's case turned the way it did because Boston Children's Hospital is um, the largest recipient of federal grant money, of federal funding, and a teaching hospital of Harvard University. This week, I should also mention that his judge, Nathaniel Gorton from Gorton's Fishermen and a former FISA court judge, has conflicts of interest in the case. He donates, and his family donates to the board of the Boston Foundation, which is the adoption agency Boston Children's Hospital likely would have used to get Justina adopted into another family. So this week was a big week. We had oral arguments in the First Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston. Marty's attorney, Mike Pabian, represented Marty before the court. Oral arguments are the culmination of all of the written briefs, and he discussed a couple of things. The first was Marty should have had a right to a public trial. Judge Nathaniel Gorton closed the courtroom on 5 occasions in violation of the Sixth Amendment, which is there to protect criminal defendants from, abuse of power. If he was going to close the courtroom, he should have at least given a reason why, and he didn't do that either. One of the other issues is the Speedy Trial Act. From the time of arrest to an indictment, the government has 30 days from arrest to indictment. Instead, they held Marty in jail for 246 days. We think that, that was improper, and that includes a 3-month decision by the magistrate judge to give an opinion whether Marty should get bail or not, just the decision on bail.
Dana, why did it take so long for them to actually indict him after they arrested him?
They were making exclusions, they were making exceptions on a secret docket that Marty didn't even know about, that his attorney at the time, Tor Eklund, was doing behind his back with the government. We really don't know, and it wasn't proper. We also know that Judge Bowler, her husband, works for a hospital that was affected by the DDoS. So Judge Bowler has resigned from other cases where Harvard was involved, but she didn't resign or withdraw from Marty's case. Finally,
And DDoS, guys, just for the background, it's denial of service attack. Is that right? Where they kind of send a lot of incoming signals to a website to kind of shut it down temporarily, and that's what was allegedly done to the hospital's website, huh?
yeah, it's the distributed denial of service. It's like if too many people show up to a McDonald's and then the regular customers can't get in. It's That's kind of how it works. So it's not there's no, you know, breaking in and entering. It's just sending too much traffic to one website. So if a million people sign on to a website at the same time and you couldn't log in, it's the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
So that was relevant because that happened on the day that they were doing a fundraiser, and so they were upset that they lost money, which ultimately put pressure on them to release Justina. And then finally, and I think that this to me is the most compelling reason, Judge Nathaniel Gorton didn't allow Marty to talk about Justina. He didn't let Marty give the defense, use the defense of another. Whether or not the jury would ultimately find or not find with Marty wasn't the issue. It's that the jury should at least hear about her. They should at least get to know there's such a large public record that she was being abused and hurt. They should at least get the option to find out, and they never were afforded that. So that was Tuesday, and now we're awaiting to hear what happens. The judges make a decision on their own timeline. If the appeal is successful, then then his conviction will be vacated, and then the government, depending on if it's dismissed with prejudice or without, the government can bring charges again. And if we lose, then the conviction stands as it is.
Wow. And so, what's the next step? It's just that you're just waiting on the judge's decision now. All the arguments have been made. Everything's all done in that sense.
Yeah, it is such a game of hurry up and wait. He was arrested 5 years ago. He's been in jail since 2016.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
we finally just had the last step, and now we wait.
And so, when was the last time you saw Marty? Dan, I know they're keeping him in a very bizarre place. It's the communications management unit of a super high security prison. Tell us a little bit about the conditions that he's facing, and have you been able to go see him, visit him, check on him?
No, the last time I saw him was on my birthday, the day he was sentenced in 2008, January 2018,
Oh my goodness.
in Boston. And since then, he's been moved through MDC, New York, to this place called a Communications Management Unit, or a CMU, in Terre Haute, Indiana. It's like a black site prison. It doesn't follow the same rules as other prisons. For example, all prisons monitor communications, but this place is, there's no other way to put it than like off the rails. They don't let him have privileged communications with his attorney. They've stopped mail from going to the court. I heard one person there, Schaefer Cox, say uh, the difference between a prisoner and um, just a hostage is your ability to reach the court. And I think that they've crossed that line. Um, yeah, it's a really scary place. And I think it was built, from what I read, after Alcatraz as an alternative. Um, and it's mostly a place where they keep terrorists.
I was gonna say
There's
it sounds like a place where you'd keep very very dangerous terrorists and mafia leaders and stuff like that. And that doesn't sound like what they accused Marty of allegedly doing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even based on the badness of your crime, because Marty didn't even hurt anybody, and it's not like a place where so they keep terrorists and they also keep political prisoners. So you have a small handful of cases that are extremely suspect, that were handled poorly, like Donald Reynolds Jr. and Schaefer Cox and Marty. And you tend to find a lot of Christians and a few Jews there. It seems to be a place where they like to warehouse and silence political prisoners.
Wow. And folks out there, I have written many times to the authorities at this prison seeking comment. Marty sends me communications from time to time. I get emails from him. I've received a letter from him. And, I've reached out to this prison to ask for their comment. Are these things true? Is this really going on there? And just complete and total silence. They really show no interest in communicating with the media or journalists. And from the things that Marty has related, it sounds like really it's just an awful place. You don't think of that kind of stuff going on in America, and yet if it wasn't true, you'd think it'd be a pretty simple matter to say, no, sorry, the prisoner's making stuff up. That's not really how we do things here, and you're welcome to come see for yourself. But no, you don't get any of that. I've written at least half a dozen times requesting comment, and nothing ever comes, which is a very bizarre situation. Dana, so what else do people need to know about this case? Is there anything that people can do? I mean, I doubt Biden's going to issue a pardon, but I mean, is there anything that people who are concerned about this case can do other than just read up on it and I don't know, pray or send a letter to their congressman? Or
Those would all be good things. We have a website, freemartygg.com, and Marty's become a journalist from behind bars, writing about public interest topics as well as, uh, you know, malfeasance in the prison. So we welcome you to join us there and follow us on social media at Free Marty G on Facebook and Twitter, and you can also donate if you'd like. Um, but if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you more about what's happening in the prison. Partially
Yeah.
because I can't believe what's happening to Marty, but I think something you and I really share a strong passion about is government abuse of power and bringing it to light and holding them accountable, because it has been so eye-opening to me. All the things I thought mattered, the Constitution, the rule of law, you know, if the government can just break them without accountability, then like what are we even doing here? Like what separates us from any other country? Um, you know, some of the things that we're trying to work on is we have concerns about him not being able to communicate in a privileged way with his attorney. He should have protected mail, and they're reading it in front of him, even though that's against the law. They're also separating him from his legal mail. I mean, from his legal work. So it's capricious and doesn't really make any sense and only really serves to hurt him. Um, there's also the issue of protection from retaliation. Um, there's been some issues that Marty's written complaints about, and other people have copied them, and the prison will gather them up in a town hall style and told them that and threatened about sending them to worse prisons and throwing them in solitary confinement and just all kinds of terrible things. It's so upsetting. I don't know how we went from like a newlywed couple. He was arrested the day of our first 1 year anniversary, and now he's been in prison for 5 years, and I go months without hearing from him, which is not what either of us wants. It's the prison doing this. I think one of the things that has been the most scary and upsetting recently has been PREA violations. PREA is the Prison Rape Elimination Act, um, which is designed to mitigate or deal with sexual abuse. And there's a guy there named Todd Royer. He was a correction officer, and now he was promoted to head of the unit, and he does voyeurism, which is looking at people naked against their will. Marty started making complaints about him in 2019, and just last week he's graduated to going unescorted into the shower area and sticking a hand inside of an occupied shower. Marty and other inmates have filed at least 7 complaints to the Bureau of Prisons through the Bureau of Prisons, and there's no investigation. There's no acknowledgement of their that they've even received the complaints. The prison has ripped out the prison hotline phone and disabled the button on the computer, and these people are really left without recourse or protection from their accuser. It's so scary. I can't believe that a place like this even exists.
Yeah, especially in America, it's not what people normally think of when they think of America. At least it didn't used to be. And I'm curious about why you can't see him. I don't know all the rules and regulations of the federal prison system, but it just seems inhumane to say that a husband and a wife are not even allowed to see each other. What's the deal with that?
Well, I think we should start with saying it's been COVID, so I think that's affected things. But even before
So
then,
because of COVID, they wouldn't let you in?
yeah, but even before then, it's so difficult to get it. Also, they moved him to Indiana, which is, contrary to the First Step Act, which says you should at least be within a reasonable range to your family. Um, Everything seems to be different with this case, from moving him to a facility that his family can't get to easily, to not even letting us have emails or calls. I actually just started hearing from him again this week after a 3-month silence. They can write up a bogus disciplinary report, take away his communication means, and that's it. And that's how they do it. It's absolutely crazy.
Wow. Well, Dana, thank you for joining us, and thank you for persisting here. Certainly your husband is not the only one, but it's a case that people ought to be watching. Dana, what's the website again? How can people go read more about this?
FreeMartyG.com
All
and
right, guys,
FreeMarty.
freemartyg.com. Go check it out. We've written articles about this case at the New American. It's been very widely publicized in the media. The government is behaving very strangely. And so we hope you will go check it out. Dana, thanks again for being with us, folks. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We'll be back with more.